Yo, for example, one among many things, you got all the death of the little children in Chicago that literally will get ignored. I mean, literally, people act like they didn't see it. And you're like, 47 people got shot in Chicago this weekend. They don't even notice that. Like, well, there was a little boy from the South who got killed up in the detention campus when they were trying to come across the border. That'll take up all the national news and all the headlines, but nothing about all the dead black people in Chicago. So really, what that means is that these problems are our problems. These are white people got white people problems, black people got black people problems. How do we black people problems solve our black people? So that's why I'm trying to appreciation. With guys like the Ice Cube, etc., step up and move that to that transcends Ice Cube back in the day, but we have a lot of enough rather than seeing it against it. I don't know what's this is action, this is a strategy. So that's what I want to make of this. So first of all, shout out to Ice Cube for the video. You see the video, congratulations. We haven't had a chance to talk yet. Absolutely. What we do, I'd rather talk more so than too much more to say right there. About ways I can do support all this actually like it's easy to talk about things that it's like it's more productive to talk about. So that's my actual advice to anybody that has an issue.
Still, see, today we got
it's fine. You can say that. But after you say all
everybody's in the background today just doing the knowledge.
So here's another point I want to make. I've been asked this question a lot. If somebody brought it up, I got
Like I hear through the each one teach one, click the like button for me.
And I actually
It's not my usual time.
so something I shared with you today.
So we gotta manually let people know that we got a little early in storming today. Sincere born Asiatic.
And that's who you are. I don't know how to talk because you're stuck in a lot of things. You're stuck in So here's what the brother said that was a legitimate question. I've heard before, and I want to make sure we address it very clearly. I would say once in a while.
Sincere, did you see this latest story? I just saw an alert on my on the news app on my phone where they shot this brother. He appeared to be getting his car. I don't know what they thought he was going to do. It's not exactly clear what happened before that.
All of that stuff, right? But now I've been OG status, which means I should have some insights that I didn't have when I was 29.
Is 2020 going to make a difference?
So that's fine. Let's hear me out on this. Let's kind of lay this out. So here's why you talk a lot about Democrats.
How big does the straw have to be to break the camel's back? The brother's name? Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, Jacob Blake in Wisconsin. The story that I read, it said that he had just broken up a fight. Jam, Universal 7. Yeah, the story that I read, it said he had just broken up a fight. I mean, does Is this kind of like the new norm, but really the old norm? You know, where these things happen in public. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but these things just happen in public now. Like, when they used to do the lynchings, and the whole town would come out and have a picnic or whatever. And it might register on the radar for a few people, but it didn't make a difference. It didn't bring about any change. Have we lost the opportunity at this point to bring about change? And what is it going to take to really bring about change? That's 793rd and Master Student. What is it going to take to bring about some kind of change? Because she was telling you over and over and over again that she needed something. The way I saw the footage, I'm sure if you in law enforcement, you might see it differently, but the way I saw the footage, it didn't look necessary. I love you. Like, no, wait. I'm living without you. Like, we're going and we are begging them. No suggestions from the room. Divine understanding. Like, is it lost on anybody else that, once they got the protests back to the peaceful stage, then it was right back to business as usual? Because, like I said the other day, when the protest was going on, there was a lot of people with, points of view on the protest. Rather it involved looting or not, which people, it involved. So are we all just waiting until it's our turn? Is that what we're waiting on? When it's our turn, then we'll become concerned with specific ways to bring about a change. See all the rallying cries, all the telling me about the history, what I'm saying, of relations between the original man and the colored man. Those is good rallying cries that get everybody hyped. But the specific plan, the specific things that each individual is going to do, Have we become too intelligent to really achieve freedom, justice, and equality? See, because that's something that I notice, amongst a lot of people that see your ability to analyze a problem is not really related to your ability to solve the problem. So you got lots of people that can describe the whole issue, you know what I'm saying, everything that's been happening, since the 1300s. We have people that can break down, every aspect of it historically, politically, economically. But, what does that actually mean about solutions? What does that actually mean about solving the problem? See, to a certain degree, right? That's like knowing 120, but you only know the questions. You don't know none of the answers. So you know the question is who is the original man, but you don't know who the original man is. Black reality, you allow. '73 mentioned that Breonna Taylor. I mean, for that matter, Breonna Taylor, nobody's really gotten justice, or justice wasn't served, for any of the things that happened not in 2020 so far. Some progress was made in terms of the people, we saw a lot of charges. But we haven't really seen anybody, pay for any of the things that's happened. Fly phrase from the Providence plantations. See, this is what I'm saying. You was thinking earlier about how Musa taught the devil to do devilishment, which includes how to master the original man. See, like I said, in 2020, right? One of the things that I saw was that, the vision became clear. The answer I saw at the time was that the original man has to learn how to master himself, but that doesn't seem complete. Yeah, because you got to master your surroundings. So you might be able to begin to make change, right? By making a change in yourself. You might be able to begin to do that by making a change in yourself. But if you got all crackheads in the neighborhood and one person stops smoking crack, that don't mean that crack is not in the neighborhood no more. That's just that one person, and this whole idea of, we gonna just affect people and reach this critical mass, it don't work like that. Like, how much more has to happen before we see that it don't work like that? See, right now we going from one stage into another stage right now in terms of the generation, you know what I'm saying, that's the John Lewis's, you know what I'm saying, the Jesse Jacksons, that kind of generation, they not at the forefront no more. You see, a lot of the ideas and the conclusions that they came to after civil rights That's what we living with now. Universal Seven said change start with self, but it doesn't end with self. Black reality, you realize, just he just hit a point. Which is my question. He says we're satisfied with the results of these events. We're gonna have to start realizing that that's true. Because we're not coming up with anything. We're not coming up with anything different. We're not making no adjustments. Like right now, all the different causes. You know what I'm saying? All the different what's the word for it? We trying the same method, right? Of achieving change and progress, right? And you gotta realize that look, the people that did that the first time got beat down. And to a certain degree, they just got tired of getting beat down, right? And became a part of the system. And if you look at the ranks of the Democratic Party, you know what I'm saying? You got everybody from the civil rights movement there. You know what I'm saying? From, and I'm going back a little ways right now. But what was my man's name that was the mayor of Atlanta? He used to be with Martin Luther King. He was I want to say he was the first black mayor of Atlanta. All the way from people, what I'm saying is people that was on the nonviolent protest side of the spectrum, all the way to, you in Chicago with, in California with people who was Panthers. They all became, a part of the system. And then now, how do we, it seems to be no realization, right? That we're dealing with a system that people survive off of. Andrew Young, that's his name. Got all on the business and Smell Goods came in. Smell Goods said we not babies anymore. Better yet, big men and women. That old way born's the same old way. I'm starting with the man in the mirror, ourselves. There's just something that you got to realize about maintaining the status quo. You know what I'm saying? And wanting to maintain certain elements of the status quo is also maintaining the conditions that's brought about by the status quo. So right now, you have people that complain about all different things, and then when the heat gets turned up, you want to protect the same things that you've been protesting about. I think we're in a situation right now where we want to have it both ways. At this point right now, we might just have too much interest. We have too much interest in our own oppression. And when I say interest, I mean you're invested in. Like when they say, we need to bomb other countries to protect America's interests. You don't really want to get off the plantation. You know what I'm saying? Or how could we so easily, uh, kind of disintegrate into what's happened in 2020? Like, is this generation, or is there going to be an Emmett Till? I mean, there's many Emmett Tills that we see it happening, but I'm saying in terms of the difference in the mind state that it makes in the people and what the people is prepared to do, right, in order to bring about a change in that condition. What was the mistake? How did this, the events of 2020, how did the message not get to everybody? The message of what kind of time this is, what kind of opportunities we're being presented with. How did this message not get to everybody? And even if you gangster, you know what I'm saying? You got to realize that, look, even though, for the most part, we're talking about, innocent people being shot by the cops. But if you out there living the street life, these things that's being protested right now about the situation with the cops and, how they allow to treat brothers is going to affect you more than it's going to affect the average person. Because you have the most contact with them. And how did that message not get to them? You know what I mean? Like, in the 60s, you had a lot of people on board. You understand what I'm saying? The gangsters, the entertainers. What is it that we missing in getting this message out to the people, man, that we got to stop dealing with death, hell, and destruction. What is it that we missing? Like reality said, we keep looking back at history for the answers to now instead of allowing history to repeat itself. Every generation, we got to write our history in advance and manifest the story. Small Good said the revolutions taking place are unfamiliar to many, except through reading the history of revolts. Living out the new way is where I see the reluctance of many to remove themselves from the toolbox. I mean, I agree with that. I agree with both statements. You know what I'm saying? That at this point in time, uh, a lot of us have been so far removed away, from the struggle for freedom, justice, and equality that maybe we don't recognize it. Maybe that's seen as something that happened in the 60s. Maybe that's seen as something, that's Harriet Tubman and the like. You understand what I'm saying? But there's that saying. There's some things that you whenever something happens, it always reminds me of certain things, and there's that saying about the dude in Nazi Germany, where he said, at first they didn't come for the Jews, they came for the homosexuals. You know what I mean? He didn't say nothing. They came for the gypsies and all these other people, and he didn't say nothing. And then finally, when they came for him, there was no one left to say anything. So when you look at all the different changes that's being made, you know what I'm saying? All the different ways that, to me right now, the system is kind of illustrating that they don't need to be worried about us. That we could get a little bit of lip service. We all stand with George Floyd. We stand with the protesters. There's all the questions of there's all these when it was the primaries, will you will you support reparations? We got that little bit of lip service for a minute. But now what happens? I mean, there's a lot of things going on. See, like we speak on gentrification, a lot of times in terms of, rent and stuff like that, the kind of stores that's in the neighborhood. But see, that's also a political thing. Where gentrification also represents the loss of political power. Where, Harlem is not the solid block of original people that it was before to represent something where, okay, we got to give Charles Rangel a little bit of respect. So they put him on the Ways and Means Committee. That's about the money. Like, so they can pass whatever law they want, but Congress has to give them the money to, carry that law out. What happens now? Smell Good said, explain the part when I said no one was left to say anything. I mean, basically, you stood around while everybody else was persecuted. You lost the opportunity to unify, right, and be able to save yourself. So, in other words, in this situation, they're systematically eliminating brothers, not just through killing, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of the things that we being fed in the entertainment world, miseducation is probably at an all-time high. With as much information as out here right now, miseducation is at an all-time high. You know what I'm saying? And what that does, you know what I'm saying? And that's what the system has been now for my whole lifetime, is eliminating brothers and sisters from a state where you could be an asset. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if I lock you up, 3 times, you got 3 felonies by the time you 22, 23, 24. Then for a lot of brothers, not for everybody, you're going to have some people that's very, they got a lot of ingenuity. Maybe they know the right people, whatever the case might be. But for the most part, once you do that to somebody, you severely limited a lot of what they can do within a society. You've eliminated them from certain types of employment. You know what I'm saying? You've given their children a head start in, not having them around and not having that guidance. You know what I mean? You've given them a head start on going down the wrong path because you don't have the people there that's supposed to guide you. And so, I mean, it was a lot of complaints about it being more white people out there protesting than black people. And have we reached the point where other people feel more sorry for us? They the emotions that they feel for what we going through is greater than what we feel about what we going through. It gets them hype. It gets them ready, to go. You got some white people right now that's facing life for the things that they did, throwing around these cocktails and all of this stuff. So, like, what is the science? You know what I mean? Like, just a question for the room. Is there a need to, uh, stop trying to go high? Smell good. You said it's a hoax. What's a hoax? Is there a need to stop trying to go high? You know what I mean? And so that maybe, you know, uh, how do I put it? To make it clear, de-Christian, like there's this kind of thing, and maybe this is a little overboard, but there's this kind of thing where, black people want to rise, right? But then we don't want it to be black supremacy because that scares our friends amongst the colored people. So you're already saying you want to rise, but not too high. And has it, created the amount of colored people that, we have this mentality with? Has it created a situation where there's, we not illustrating the point for what it is, so that, like the brother was saying, people don't really know the condition. You know what I'm saying? Even that, us as people that, we deal with this stuff. Like if you go speak right now, to the young brothers in your neighborhood, right? Do they know everything about how black people has been oppressed? In this country specifically. Not just that it was slavery. Not just, things that happened in the 1800s. Do they actually realize, because a lot of things is just that simple. If you came through this door to get in this room, right? You want to get out, go back out that same door. But if you don't know how you got in this room, you don't know the signs to that door, then a lot of times you can't take the simplest way out. See, like one simple thing, look, we know that a lot of, how our condition developed in America, right, is based upon the people being illiterate and not having education, right? So it was easy for a lot of people to see, okay, we got to go back out that door. We got to get educated. But do people, realize that, this is not your plan. And right now, if you out there in the streets, do you realize that this is somebody else's plan? And that everything that you're dealing with is really that plan working perfectly. Getting a little bit, a couple of dollars, all you're doing is increasing the amount of time we're going to be able to eliminate you from society. You walking around, with guns on you, just loose cannon. All you doing is taking out your likes that you're supposed to be moving as one body with to make that movement all the more strong. You got Wise You came in. Smell Good said, I saw that he has used that word a whole bunch of times recently. Oh, you talking about Trump? I mean, see, and I always thought Trump was a distraction. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm like Abraham Lincoln. I don't really care about Trump. If I can improve black people's condition and not say nothing to Trump, I wouldn't. Like, Trump is one individual. Let's not let it be lost on it that we here because of the system. Like, if it was up to just individuals, then when John Hardy Hawkins died, then we would all been free. You got people that, listen, the slave master that they belong to died, then you just got inherited by their children. The actual laws on the books that was passed. If your mother is a slave, you a slave. That's a system that's set up that regardless to what happens to your slave master, you still want to end up being a slave. Like, do people know that Abraham Lincoln compensated the slave masters, the slave owners, for loss of property? And do people know how many, different situations that's happening? Like, do people know that has something to do with the poverty in Haiti? The French made them pay for the loss of the property, which was their own self. Hold on for a second. So you can see what's going on with the yard right there. So let me catch back up here. But yeah, just picking up where I left off, that is Trump don't really, you know, does anybody think Biden is going to do anything different? Does anybody, what's the big difference, since the Obama time? Like, what's the big difference? Like, I don't get to focus on Trump. Look, I was here when Reagan was popping, man. So I really, like everything that mostly we dealing with right now, this stuff was started in the 60s and the 70s. They just now making adjustments to the system, the war on drugs, the rise in the prison population, the introduction of drugs into the neighborhoods on a large scale. All these things been in effect. The miseducation of us in the education system, uh, the discrepancies in the medical care, all of this stuff has been going on. Like, does anybody really have something where you like, well, yeah, see, since Trump came in, so I really, I don't pay him that much mind. The Christian said, our rise is a lot of people's fall. Their whole economic base would be non-existent, but people probably won't think it's real until they send out a mass email to pick cotton. And listen, I mean, people realize, right? the biggest reason for that poverty that's in the South right now. Them places like the Mississippi Delta, uh, you know, all throughout there. The reason for the poverty out there is because they lost their economic base, which was us. They lost the most valuable thing that they had, more value than the property, more valuable than all the equipment that they had back then, right? Was the original people that they was enslaving. Like if if you see the numbers, if anybody on here studies economics on that level where they know the actual numbers of what was the value of the slaves in that part of the country, that in reality, that part of the country went from being the richest part, right, during slavery to being the poorest part after slavery. But do the people that's in those areas right now, you joining the gangs or you doing whatever it is that you're doing, right? That's not about, you're not progressing. Whatever it is you're doing. Maybe you in the gangs and you are progressing. But do you realize that this is where you at right now and this is what's going on? So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things that, have we gotten too symbolic? They take down the statue and then we rejoice. Or, a couple of officers get charged, not even indicted or convicted, but just charged. And now it's like, that symbolism, it means something. What is Benjamin Crump really doing? And I really don't know. As on just the basic first impressions, I don't like him. But that's what I'm saying. Is that what we doing? Is that what it is? Like, the person got a settlement. They family got some loot. Our religion is at an all-time high, in terms of forgiving the perpetrators of these things, right? Forgiving the perpetrators of these things and, kind of our willingness to just, let these things go. Is it that type of perspective on the reality of what we're dealing with is not out there as much as I might think it is? Because see, I know these things, but that don't mean everybody knows. Like reality said, gotta learn how to be righteous in an unrighteous society. It's no good. Says some know, some don't. Some put it to the back and or out of their minds. It comes back around to knowing origins in this world. D. Christian said Trump is the dog whisperer. I mean, that's interesting. I understand that part of the thing in terms of people feel that Trump being elected has emboldened, certain individuals, in society. I mean, that's an interesting point, but I still don't really, I don't see the impact of it. Like the people that he's emboldened, they're fighting with other white people. Jeremy Jam said, doesn't Haiti owe France? I don't know if they still owe France to this day, but they had to pay uh, to pay reparations to France, and so Haiti was never able to prosper. You know what I'm saying? Under that condition, you got to ask your question: how much emancipation really existed? You know what I'm saying? Because you have situations like that throughout life. Well, okay, you won the battles, but you lost the war. See, in Vietnam, right? The Vietnamese lost mostly all the battles. They lost mostly all the battles. They took the most casualties. They lost the most equipment, but they won the war. And is that what's happening to us right now? Like, okay, you win the battle. George Floyd's family collects all his money on GoFundMe. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what people want to give them money. But I'm saying, like, so now is that, a victory for everything that's going on? Smell Good they say that don't have nothing to do with right now. They say that's old was back then. They have an inability to see the forest for the trees. Right. But that's what I'm saying. Have we stopped understanding and knowing the specific impact that the rules and regulations, right? Yaku's rules and regulations that's not mentioned in the lesson, right? Which is today's laws and policies. We stopped, like there's just some things that, okay, that's pretty obvious, stop and frisk. But does that, still leave all the other covert methods that they're using? While Sen said there's no difference. See, I cut it off for a second, so I'm not exactly sure, I get caught up in that. Jamie Jam has a good point right here. Part of the problem is fighting against learned helplessness. We have forgotten what freedom means and how to rule. Now that's a very strong factor. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, there's so many, do we have that many people, right, that feel so helpless that they feel like, look, we might as well just play this hand right here out. Let's just play this hand right here for whatever it's worth, and try to go out with a blaze. Do I know of a book or something that discusses or compares methods of original governance? And specifically, no. I know we know the laws that govern the universe. So of course we can apply those, or we supposed to apply those, but the specific way that would look, because see, a lot of times we skip that step too, man, of how specifically things is going to look in order for you to be successful. A lot of times we just go with, Allah is God, we know the supreme mathematics. But that don't necessarily mean that that's going to get us to, XYZ destination. See, now you get into the religious aspect. If you're saying because somebody existed in 1964 and that they taught the truth from 1964 until 1969, that means something for us, other than we have this knowledge now and this is our own good time to come and be Allah. If you think it means something other than that, then yeah, you might as well go back to Christianity and wait for Jesus to bring you food, clothing, and shelter. See, that's what I'm saying. What level does it have to get to? When hard times, hunger, nakedness, out of doors, and being beaten and killed by the ones who advocate that God is not enough yet. Will Smith came in. Black Reality said the difference is the transparency. We appreciate the lies and false hopes. I mean, it's definitely getting to that point. If to me, Biden, I mean, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, I mean, both of them is lock them up and throw away the key type individuals. These are people that already let us know what their first mind is. They already let us know what's at the foundation of their thinking. You know what I'm saying? When they first asked Kamala Harris, how she feels about reparations, she said, nah, she could never do that. Because she can't govern for one group. She has to govern for all of America. But then when you look at her record of voting, yeah, you governing for groups every day. If you pass a law for the immigrants, what that got to do with me? And she advocates that. And they're not saying nothing bad about them. They do their lobbying for whatever they want to get. But I'm just saying that don't pretend now, the same way with reparations. Don't pretend now that it's so impossible, like you've never done it before. Like I said, they gave the slave masters reparations for loss of property. Smell Good would say that, so you don't think that it's common knowledge that the reason why the poverty exists, right, in many of the old slave plantation areas. I mean, look, man, it's like if we on the street and we selling drugs and then something happens to all our coke, we going down. We already tried to bang out and lost. We going down. And then, because let's don't just harp on the South. How much common knowledge exists that in many ways the North was worse for us than the South. You know, all the different kind of covert ways that Jim Crow existed or exists right now to this day in the big cities across America. Like, is that what's missing? That would lead people to see that, kind of business as usual is not working. All in the business. So that's why when they freed us, people moved west for the gold rush. Since they couldn't own us by force, they own us by wealth and class. Yeah. And how many different metrics? Because I know there's some that exist, right? How many different metrics exist out there that show that original people is doing worse now than they was, at the outset of the civil rights movement in the 50s. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, they say right now schools are more segregated than they was before Brown versus Board of Education. You know, are we aware of all these things? You know what I'm saying? And how many people are aware that, look, it's a daily operation? Meaning they still doing it right now. D. Christian said, do you think we are past the point of unity amongst original people? Is it a utopian mindset, or do some got to stay by the wayside? I mean, I think we've become a little too utopian about it in terms of who, right? In terms of who, and in terms of how many people. You know what I'm saying? In terms of who, and in terms of how many people is going to be a part of that unified group. You know, sometimes we in the mindset that, we can save everybody. I'm more of the mindset that, listen, there's some amongst us that have to be eliminated. See, when you go in basic training, they eliminate certain people before we even get over there. See, the neutral people, the traitors. See, if somebody is weak, you can build them up till they're strong. You see, everybody can't be built up like that. I think sometimes, that's one of the things too. Like, and that's like a common saying where people say, well, when everyone else is with this thing, then I'll be on the front lines. So, I think in a lot of ways, it has become a little too utopian. And that's kind of what I'm saying about, when you see, some of the most militant people from the civil rights movement, when you see Panthers, and you in there making, you compromising, with people at the end of the day, we know what they're about. Then does that put the mindset out there for everybody? Like, if you was the person that was kind of sparking the militancy, You know, you was inspiring a lot of the militancy, but then now you become a part of the system. To say that, okay, now we can work together. Like, I don't know if you can work together with the oppressor or the oppressor class. I mean, how many people know that most white people's attitude hasn't changed? In the 50s and the 60s, most white people didn't think racism was a problem. They thought it was some bad situations and everything, but they didn't think it was a major problem. You know, all in the business says my thing is I shouldn't have to vote to end systemic racism. I got to vote to get drugs out the hood and to end police brutality. That's not a vote or request. That's an affidavit. Vote or no vote, y'all better change up. You know, eventually that's the deal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because with a lot of these things, um, you know, voting can improve conditions, but it's not going to be an ultimate solution. So, you know, yeah, somewhere down the line, we got to say, you know, or it's got to be the case that vote or no vote, change is coming. West Coast Wise came in a week low. Yeah, this is a good way to put it right here, Malik Low. You know, uh, are we suffering from the illusion of inclusion? Are we suffering from so much of the illusion of inclusion? You know, I can say that's one thing that's utopian. You know, is not understanding that, you know, uh, people survive off of our oppression. And anything that people survive off of, if that's their means of survival, right? Then what they ready to do to maintain that, you better be ready to go at least as far. Everything that's the case with us, there's somebody making money off of that. Even right now, 2020, with all the things that's happened, look, there's people who made money. Now, knowledge, Allah, and calm Islami. Yeah, knowledge, Allah makes a good point right here too. You know, is that You know, they try to put the oppression in different categories. You know what I'm saying? Even on a historic level, right? When you deal with it historically, uh, you know, like for me, I don't see much difference between slavery and sharecropping. Like you working, somebody else getting all the money. You know, the only difference is the contract under which you working. You working under a different contract, right? Where the first contract you had was, look, I own you. Sharecropping is just a different type of contract where I own the land that you belong to. You know, technically, I don't own you, but the outcome is still the same. D. Christian said, you know, a lot of colored people still don't think racism is a problem. It went from Black Lives Matter to Blue Lives Matter to All Lives Matter. Avoidance of the issue of racism helps to keep white comfortability in place. How much are we working to keep it in place? You know, kind of like the difference, you know, the difference in, you know, 1963 Martin Luther King and 1968 Martin Luther King. You know, in 1963, you know, kind of the message that comes across in his speeches a lot is, you know, mass is okay. You know, we have to, you know, just force massa to, you know, practice the righteousness that he preaches. You know, we have to force them to, we have to force them, you know, to kind of recognize the Constitution. Um, that strategy, um, that's another thing I think it could be an issue. Uh, that Bayard Rustin guy, right? But Bayard Rustin, let me not. Uh, see the actual legal people, right? Thurgood Marshall and his team that he had that was going in and trying the cases had more impact on what's going on right now than, or had more impact on a lot of the successes in the civil rights movement than people going to get beat in their head on Edmund Pettus Bridge. Like, I'm not sure that counted for anything except giving a certain amount of people credibility that you was there and you got beat down. Like, what was the ultimate outcome of that? But that's much more popular, right? Than the dude, it was, I can't remember his name, but he eventually he went to Harvard in, like, I think the late 1890s, very early 1900s. And he went on to be a law professor, probably the head of the law department at Howard University. So he was Thurgood Marshall's teacher when he was over there. And that's when he started grooming Thurgood Marshall and a couple of other dudes to go in and try cases, because he had already gone in and tried some cases uh, based on a separate but equal. So he had this legal strategy of going in to prove that none of these places was equal. So you had to take away the separate. Right. Now just talking about, people, in terms of selling the masks and the gloves and the alcohol and all that, money was made. But it also, um, uh, in terms of, when you talk about corporate America and the people that own corporate America, to 1% to 0.1%, whatever, uh, they made billions, just from investing, just from moving money from one place to another place. And we keep missing the boat on these opportunities. But what's causing that to happen? Because see, if we don't come out with a solution, right, then the only thing that means is that our babies is going to have to exist in the same condition, or probably even worse. Because right now the situation is not being maintained; it's deteriorating. So how much more is it going to take? Does anyone have an idea or a suggestion about how much more is going to take? Either from events that cause people to see what the reality of the situation is, or in terms of whatever's the teaching that might need to be done in society. Master student said one day. I mean, it could take one day, but so far it's not working out like that. Now, Allah said it's going to take a whole bunch of teaching and proper performance of the teachings. the Christian said, part of missing the boat, in my opinion, is lack of knowledge, debt, and lack of self-control, to name a few. Ill prepared won't be, if you're ill prepared, you won't be able to take advantage of opportunities. Um, yeah, I can agree with all that. Uh, those are still things, though. It's not even though. Those are things that it's a daily operation. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not gonna read a million books and become an expert, overnight. That's something that's got to be built up over time. You know what I'm saying? Knowing about debt and assets and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? That's knowledge that has to be built up over time. And then respecting it enough to really live out whatever lessons that you learn. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that know where they're going wrong. Like I said, being able to analyze the problem is sometimes mistaken for the ability to solve the problem. Jammy Jam asked, what does it mean, or what does prayer mean? First, and he said, what does it mean to fast and pray? Well, you know what fasting means, right? Is the wordsmith still in here? Can we get a formal definition of prayer? Because we could go with the formal definition, but praying, that's when people speak to God. Black reality said we need to create a new political party. I mean, all right, so you, Jammy Jam, has prayed. The formal definition is to ask, request, entreat, you know. But like I said, praying is when you speak to God. Now it's just a matter of, do you believe in the mystery God or not? But yeah, see what's interesting about the political party argument, right? Is that we still represent the same percentage of the population as we did in the 1800s. 13%, maybe a little bit less now, because of the population shifts, And then we have the issue with, like I was saying, you know, so many brothers have been put in a position where they can't be successful in the political arena because they can't vote. So what is the true voting power? You see, the main thing, so that's why I say, maybe, creating a political party, but even within the parties that exist right now, right? We got to get more into the level where we're the ones doing the grooming. We're the ones doing the grooming of these candidates. You know what I'm saying? And we're the ones doing the funding. Kind of like the background that these people have, the education that they have, like AOC, right? Ocasio-Cortez, she clearly has a different background. She's been groomed differently in how to deal with politics than Nancy Pelosi. So the people who groomed her in those ideas, right, can depend on her a little bit more to, you know, uh, be a factor in them getting votes that go in their direction. See what I'm saying? A lot of times, like say with Obama, you dealing with somebody who throughout their life, they've been groomed by colored people, whether it's in his family, whether it's in his educational background. He's been groomed and raised with a different set of values. Tell you one thing, you're gonna have to start going to speak to the younger brothers, man, and sisters. And kind of instill, if knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we gotta start to speak to them, man, to instill a different, type of mindset. Right now, it's been, you know, 30, 40 years of murder, 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 kill, kill, kill. You know what I'm saying? The young has been subjected to a system where knowledge and wisdom don't get you that far. So like right now, if you look at most of the famous people, I wouldn't say most, but you look at a large percentage of the famous people, all the way to including the president. They people that became famous from being ridiculous. Like there's no merit, you didn't study for years, months, and days. You didn't practice any craft. You're just willing to be more ridiculous than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to be on TV, right? You don't go to drama class. You don't, pick up other skills. Get a voice coach. Learn how to dance so then you could be eligible to do shows on Broadway. You understand what I'm saying? No, you get on reality TV and you just be more ridiculous than everyone else. Mostly any world you deal with, the person who has talent and has developed their skills is not, they're not the people that excel right now. The people that's willing to be the most ridiculous and in many cases the most savage, the most uncivilized, those are the people that excel. So that's the message that is sent to the young. This kind of mindset that we've settled into, everybody's a boss, all this type of stuff, the kind of, the building blocks of unity with a large group of people, right, is unity with small groups of people. So you can look at almost anything that we, that we excel at, and it's become more of an individual thing with less unity. You know what I'm saying? Like in the 60s, it was only a few solo artists. Definitely the dominant form was groups. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop was the same way. The dominant form was groups. Now you couldn't put it together Earth, Wind, and Fire with all those people that they had in that band. Nobody wants to let somebody else shine in the front. Nobody wants to be a part of this whole thing. You gotta be a boss on your own. But in the meantime, when you look on the other side of the spectrum, the people that's making themselves rich from our labor, what they do all day. Business mergers. They over there loaning each other money, venture capital. Master student, yeah, you're right, exactly with that. You gotta show people how to deal show people how to deal in equality with each other again. You know, some of that's been lost. Cardi B is talking to Biden like she's qualified, yet the girls of today will emulate her moves, not knowing that's a dead end road. So Cardi B was speaking to Joe Biden. I mean, like, would she put like something on her Instagram or something where she sent him a message? Or are you saying like they had an actual conversation? And see, that's a fine line too. That Malcolm X spoke on, you know, going all the way back to the '60s, is that you know, some of the people that's elevated, you know what I'm saying, to, you know, kind of de facto spokesman, uh, de facto leadership. Uh, what's your qualifications to be a leader? Like, look, she makes a lot of money. She pays a lot of money in taxes. So in terms of her having a voice, you know, her saying how she sees things, you know, yeah, why not? But in terms of these people being elevated, you know, to wait, what does it say here? Cardi B was given a platform to speak on behalf of people of color by the DNC. See, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, you know, it's nothing wrong with her having a point of view, her expressing it. You understand what I'm saying? But, you know, me for one, you know, I would rather someone speak who has, you know, somebody who has spent a lot more time always on the internet. But yeah, I would prefer somebody who spent a lot more time, you know, dealing with studies of the situation. You know what I mean? Studying the situation, what it's really about, and things of that nature. You understand what I'm saying? You know, uh, but then again, you know, I didn't actually hear the interview. Maybe she sat down and spoke very intelligent. But you know, I do think we have some problems with the in our community. You know, and we have some problems with uh, heroes. You know, the people that we have elevated for us. You understand what I mean? Like the mainstream, they elevate people to be your leadership who's going to lead you in a direction that they like. And have we come kind of to that, you know, like, uh, you know, Farrakhan, you know, in recent years, you know, but Farrakhan he was a hero that we picked. See, a lot of these other people that they put in front of us, those are heroes that they picked for us. So Cardi B had a conversation with Bernie Sanders too. But what did she talk about? Before we just condemn her out, you know, straight out, you know, what did she speak on? Because you can't discount the experience of people who have, you know, uh, lived certain things firsthand. So, you know, I mean, if she's going up there illustrating some of the issues that, you know, need to be dealt with, then, you know, that's a good thing. But, you know, there's no question, you know what I'm saying? You know, being able to articulate things, you know, that's a part of being great on that leadership level like that. 793 said, cannot tell you since I do not bear witness when these entertainers start getting political. Yeah, and that's something that Malcolm X said, that, you know, you don't go in other communities, right? And, you know, comedians are their leaders. You know what I'm saying? You don't go in other communities and they got a baseball player telling them uh, you know, how to act, how to vote. You know, I mean, these people can express whatever they want to express on their own, but in other communities, you know, you never saw, you know, whatever white community, you've never seen them in that situation. You know, where he's being the leadership. You know, and even when that does happen, you know, like a situation like this with Trump or Ronald Reagan, you know, they say, yeah, this is ridiculous. It's Toastmasters. Comes on, you pointed out when Charles Barkley said, I'm not a role model. And then you just, you know, what's funny about that is then he spends, you know, the rest of, you know, after he retired, you know, constantly having something to say, you know, about everybody's behavior. And that's one thing you'll see, you know what I'm saying? And another thing you'll notice about them, right? About the mainstream. They don't have a Martin Luther King. Like, you ain't never seen, you know, not I've never seen, you know, a white person who they saying fought for freedom, justice, and equality for white people, and they was nonviolent. Toastmasters is an activity club for adults who want to practice or learn about public speaking. Hmm. Never heard of it. Might be something to check out. But you know, when they speaking from their perspective, then it's give me liberty or give me death. Then it's all about the soldiers who toughed it out at Valley Forge. L7, 793rd said, now fast forward 60 years after Malcolm in the reality show from WWE gets the baton 35 or so after the Hollywood Cowboy did. Yeah, reality TV is up there with crack. Right, knowledge a lie. The greatest generation is the ones that stormed the beach at Normandy, like he said. The greatest generation. You know, whereas our greatest generation is the people that got their head beat in. You know, that's a kind of propaganda. Right, D. Christian pointing out, turning the other cheek, and all of these things like this. This is kind of extolled as virtues for us. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I did an early episode. In fact, I'm about to shut it down right now and give me something to eat so that I can be back on at the regular class time at 6 o'clock. But yeah, I'm what's the word that I'm looking for? I'm shocked that 2020 seems, and just all what I saw as progress. You know what I'm saying? From the way, people kind of, examine what was going on with the coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? Even if you had some crazy conspiracy theory, most people didn't just take it on face value. At least that a lot of people was, examining it. They wasn't just taking the government's word on face value. You know what I'm saying? As well as all the rebellions, that took place, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, in a way it seemed that it was a kind of focus. It was a focus on, what the conditions was, in America for original people. The meaning of everything, it came down to a lot of symbolism. So some statues came down, some murals got painted. Some officers got charged, but we still don't know what's going to happen with those cases. But then it just appeared that the situation deteriorated. Maybe over about the last 2 months. You know what I'm saying? And the goalpost was moved, to where now, even when this comes on the news and everything, it's about public safety, areas being taken over and, precincts being attacked and, defund the police, which is peripherally related. But it's still not, solving the issues, man, of, hard times, hunger, nakedness, out of doors, and also beaten and killed by the ones that advocate that kind of God. The Christian said, we all fall that now. All the George and Brianna t-shirts sits in the closet and it's NBA time now with WAP as the theme song. I haven't gotten a chance to, and I don't think I'm gonna be taking a chance to really hear the song. But yeah, just that kind of title, you know, I hate to pick on them, but kind of. I mean, look, is there any bigger distraction than WAP? Is there any bigger distraction? Uh, to kind of cause people to lose that focus. So this is what we. I mean, I know it was a couple of brothers that made some songs though. Uh, but strange that out of all the songs that was made, that this would be one of the biggest songs. Like I said, I haven't heard it myself, but just from hearing about it, it seems like it's one of the biggest songs of 2020. If that's the way that's being elevated, we're not getting, a change is going to come. We're not getting, a lot of people don't realize that James Brown, in terms of us saying that we black, I mean, we the guys, we teach what we teach. You understand what I'm saying? But in terms of the greater society and everybody saying that they black, James Brown say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, went a long way towards that. But this is what we getting this time. 793 said, I'm good with that. Kanye, who shot who in the foot, and what have you, yet a rapper came out and said, and what have you, yet a rapper came out and said that the corona was a distraction. I mean, I guess in a way I'm a little bit embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? That black people could just be sent away that easily. You know what I'm saying? That that's it. That's it. It's nothing left to see here. There's nothing to see here. You go home and go back to WAP. Yeah, tell Japri I said peace, man. And yeah, keep me on tune, man, and what's going on with Ad. I mean, I don't know. I guess because I talked to the brothers down there, and they were saying that the memorial will probably be, on Zoom or something because of the quarantines and all of that. But yeah, that's yeah, tell the guy Japri I said peace too. On the business said women is the number one tool they use against the people. Nudity and sex make these cats forget their children haven't eaten. Yeah, I mean, those amongst us, males and females, we got to stop taking the bait for a few dollars more. You know what I'm saying? Couple pieces of silver. You know, I mean, I don't know if it's more people or less people. You know, I really wasn't paying attention to it like that, but it's, you know, it's a tremendous amount of people that's willing to be, you know, kind of a tool of distraction. You know what I'm saying? Right, D. Christian said right here, it's a war on original man and woman, and some is willing participants in our destruction. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know, for a few dollars more. You know what I'm saying? We got people that's you know, willing to secure themselves a safe spot. You know, a lucrative spot within the oppression. But these is the questions on hand. But yeah, let me go handle some God degrees for myself real quick. You know what I'm saying? Uh, we'll be back at 6 o'clock for the normal class. We had a question a brother asked. We're gonna be dealing with that and a couple of other things. D. Christian said it's not a safe spot. Just ask Cosby. That's true. You know, but how many of us got to go down that dead end? You know what I'm saying? Before we see. I don't. You know, when are we gonna get to that level of never again? You see, one of the ways that level of never again is maintained, right, is by keeping the history front and center. The history of whatever has happened is kept front and center. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, brother had asked a question. I can't recall who it is. He asked a question about uh, is there a difference between cipher and the supreme mathematics and cipher and the supreme alphabet, uh, all in the business. Yeah, but I mean, it's the pain. Oh, I see what you're saying. That they, you know, the system knows how to inflict enough pain to keep you incapacitated, right? But not enough to make you ready to bring about a change. Which is something that, like I said, they perfected that on themselves. They know exactly how to torture a person good enough to make them submit, you know, but not kill you. So they know exactly, you know, what to make a whip out of in order to make the slave submit, but not hurt you bad enough where you can't be in the field tomorrow getting your quota of cotton. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna be dealing with that. Anybody else got any questions? Put them in the regular comments to this video. Not here in the chat room. Put it in the regular comments, and we get to those as well. You know, other than that, we're gonna pretty much pick up. You know, we're gonna deal with the lessons, but we're gonna deal with how the lessons. Yeah, that's where we started off at 793rd. We was talking about the science that happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and just, you know, how it just shows that, you could pass as many laws, but you gotta remember that a lot of this stuff is from an emotional level on it. Like they have fear of the original man, and a lot of these things is just them reacting on the fear that they already came into the police force with. See, that's the issue too. All of these are not necessarily police force issues. Some of these are union issues. The union has, negotiated certain advantages and certain kind of policies. You know, uh, especially dealing with how much danger the officer is willing to face. You know what I'm saying? It shows that the threshold is still the same in people's minds. The officer's minds, the threshold is still the same in terms of how much force to use, when to use that force, and on who. So, by the time we come back on, hopefully we'll have a little bit more information about what's going on out there, so that we can build on it. And, what I'm saying? Also, like I said, we've got to come out, we the guys. Nobody else said that we was the saviors. We said that. So what is the solution, man? What is it that we need to start teaching the young, right? That's gonna, allow them to see what's going on. See, because look, even into the leadership, how was Martin Luther King when he started? He was like 25, 26. When he first started being one of the leaders of the movement. You know what I'm saying? One of the reasons why it's so many of them still around is because they was just kids then. SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. You know what I'm saying? It was college kids. The Black Panthers was college kids. And they the ones who have to suffer the most if no change comes about. And they the ones who's going to benefit the most if change does come about. You know what I mean? So it's something that we missing in what we teaching out here. That lead people into a better mind state, man, where, we've taken the lead. Like the colored man right now is like, listen, let's slow down on their oppression right now, because they, we took right over. See, like I said, the Klan cannot imagine. They can never imagine on their best day, killing as many brothers as we kill in one day. And a lot of that is because we've lost a lot, man. In terms of wisdom and understanding, and how to remain civilized as individuals. You know what I'm saying? And remain civilized within our communities. So hopefully we have some more suggestions on that. Like I said, everybody that made this far through the Each One Teach One, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And I'll be back to see y'all at 6 o'clock. Peace.